Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets. So this week felt like just a massive wave of tech news. I mean, everything from shiny new iPhones to some really intense debates about, how AI should be regulated. We're going to try and break down the biggest headlines for you.
That's right. And we've sort of grouped it into three main themes we want to explore today. First, there's a big reality check happening with AI, looking at its performance or lack thereof in workplaces and even education. Second, we'll get into the latest consumer hardware. Think ultra-thin phones, but also, some pretty high prices for gaming gear. And finally, some critical corporate accountability news, a major lawsuit involving Amazon, and believe it or not, global price hikes.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with what feels like the really big one, the great AI safety debate. Yeah, this feels important. You've got over 200 Nobel laureates, experts, even leaders from OpenAI and Google DeepMind.
Right.
Signing this letter, launched at the UN. They're calling for global red lines to head off unacceptable AI risks. And they want this done by 2026. That feels soon. It is soon. And, the call itself was maybe intentionally a bit vague to get everyone on board. But one of the signatories, Stuart Russell, he's a professor at UC Berkeley, he laid out some really concrete examples. 4 specific red lines he thinks are non-negotiable.
Okay, like what?
Well, first, AI systems must not be able to replicate themselves. Second, they can't try to break into other computer systems. Third, no giving instructions on making bioweapons. And fourth, no generating false or harmful stuff about real people.
Those sound pretty reasonable, like basic safety stuff. Why is that so hard? What's the snag?
The snag is huge. Russell argues that the current tech, the large language models or LLMs that power things like ChatGPT, they just can't comply. Fundamentally, they don't understand what they're saying. They're prone to hallucinating, making things up.
So they can't reliably follow rules about, say, not giving out dangerous info because they don't grasp the concept of dangerous. Exactly. They don't understand truth, falsity, harm, any of it. So if you take Russell's red line seriously, it basically means you'd have to pull the current generation of AI off the market. Compliance isn't possible with the way they're built right now.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just tweaking algorithms, it's potentially a fundamental redesign needed.
That seems to be the argument, yeah. Forcing real safety engineering from the ground up.
Which brings us neatly to, well, how useful is this current AI in practice? Let's talk about the business side. There was this MIT Media Lab report, and honestly, the findings were kind of shocking. A staggering 95% of organizations apparently saw no measurable return on their generative AI investments. 95%.
Yeah, it's a huge number, and it's tied to this problem they're calling AI work slop.
Work slop. Okay, define that.
It's AI-generated content that, looks polished, good grammar, sounds plausible, but it doesn't actually move the work forward. It's missing details, it's maybe inaccurate, it just doesn't quite hit the mark. Low-value output, basically.
And people are spending time cleaning up this work slop.
A lot of time. The report found workers spend nearly 2 hours a day, 1 hour and 56 minutes just dealing with it. Correcting things, rewriting, adding the missing pieces.
2 hours a day.
Yeah. And for a big company, say 10,000 employees plus, they estimate that lost productivity adds up to around $9 million a year.
Ouch. That's a serious financial drag, not just an annoyance.
Absolutely. It really reframes the whole idea of AI making things faster, doesn't it?
It does. If you spend 2 hours fixing what the AI did quickly. So what's the solution then? Just ditch it.
The researchers suggest not ditching it, but changing how we think about it. Treat AI like a collaborator, not a magic button or a crutch. Set clear guidelines in the organization about what AI is good for and what needs proper human oversight and input.
That makes sense. Setting expectations. And we see a similar kind of struggle in education, right, with AI tutors. We looked into comparisons of models like ChatGPT and Claude as tutors. ChatGPT seems more focused on, rote practice, quick summaries for a test.
Yeah, it gives you the overview fast. Claude, on the other hand, it's almost the opposite. It's been called Socrates for the 5%.
Socrates for the 5%.
Meaning it uses constant follow-up questions. It pushes you to think critically, which is great.
Yeah.
But it never just gives you the answer. It can be super wordy and maybe frustrating if you just need a quick fact check.
So different approaches. But what's the core issue learning experts have with these?
What's fascinating here is the experts say both kinds of models lack real personalization and, crucially, curriculum context. They argue learning is a social construct. It depends on the relationship with a teacher, social cues, knowing what the student already knows. AI doesn't get that.
It's just optimizing for the right answer, not the learning process itself.
Pretty much. It's a taskmaster trying to hit a target, not a guide adapting to a human learner.
And even newer platforms like Obo, this thing from former Spotify execs that generates whole courses,
Yeah.
they run into trust issues too, right?
Yeah, a big one is the lack of citations. You just have to trust the AI that built the course got it right, which circles back to that whole hallucination problem we talked about. Can you really trust it?
Okay, let's shift gears completely. Away from the tricky AI stuff and onto the shiny new hardware. The iPhone Air is making waves. Apple's calling it the biggest redesign since the iPhone X, which was ages ago.
And it really looks different. The key things are thinness and lightness. It's only 5.6 millimeter thick, apparently, and weighs just 165 grams.
That sounds incredibly thin, like almost unnervingly thin.
It does. Reports say when you pick it up, it feels quite different. They use titanium, obviously, to help with that. It seems engineered purely around that feeling.
Okay, but the immediate question is always, what did they sacrifice? You don't get that thin for free.
Definitely not. The trade-offs seem pretty clear. First, cameras. It only has a single 48-megapixel camera on the back. Still a good camera, sure, but you lose the versatility of the dual camera setup you get even on the standard iPhone 17 model.
Right, no optical zoom or ultra-wide flexibility built in.
Exactly. And second, battery life. Reviews are pretty much saying it's just okay. Not bad, but not the all-day powerhouse some other iPhones are.
So, thinness and lightness trumped battery and camera options for this specific model.
Seems like it. It's a choice prioritizing that premium feel and design.
But here's a win for the whole lineup, right?
What?
All 4 iPhone 17 models are getting the promotion 120 hertz display now.
Yes, that's a big deal. That smooth scrolling and animation used to be just for the Pro models. Bringing it to the standard iPhone 17 is a really nice upgrade for everyone. Makes everything feel faster.
Definitely a welcome change. Now let's switch to gaming. We mentioned high prices earlier. There's a new PC gaming handheld, the MSI Claw A8. Looks powerful, but the price starts at $849 in the UK. That suggests it'll be around, what, $1,000 in the US?
Yeah, probably around that mark. And that high price point fits a wider trend we're seeing across gaming. Consoles are just getting more expensive, full stop. Microsoft is raising the Xbox Series X price again. It's going up to $650. It launched at $500.
Wow, second time this year.
Second time this year. And Sony already bumped the PS5 price by $50 earlier. Even Nintendo Switch 2 games are starting to hit $80.
So the era of, like, stable console prices seems kind of over.
It certainly looks that way for now.
Maybe AI can help us get more value out of those expensive games. Microsoft's launching this gaming co-pilot thing.
Right. It's out now for PC, coming to handhelds and Xbox later. It lives in the Game Bar overlay.
So what does it do? Like, tells you how to beat a boss?
Basically, yeah. It's voice activated. If you're stuck on a quest or getting hammered by a boss, you can ask it for tips or guidance right there in the game.
Interesting. Could be useful. Maybe less frustrating than pausing to Google something.
Potentially. It's an interesting layer on top of the game.
Now, speaking of useful things, let's talk practical security updates. This is where it gets really interesting, especially if you travel or charge your phone in public places.
Yes, iOS 26 brought in a really neat feature to combat juice jacking.
Juice jacking, that's when someone messes with a public USB port to steal data, right? Airports, cafes.
Exactly. So now, when you connect your iPhone or iPad via USB-C to any port charger, computer, whatever, pops up a prompt. It explicitly asks you, allow data transfer. Or deny data transfer.
Ah, okay. So even if the port is malicious, if you hit deny, or if your phone is locked.
It'll still charge, but no data can flow across that connection. You have to give explicit permission while the phone is unlocked. It's a simple but really effective safeguard.
That's actually brilliant. Such a practical win.
Definitely. And Apple's also ramping up anti-tracking stuff, that advanced tracking and fingerprinting protection in Safari.
Yeah, I remember that was for private browsing.
Well, now it applies to all browsing in iOS 26.
Oh, okay. So what does that mean exactly? Fingerprinting. That's like identifying your specific device based on subtle settings.
Precisely. Websites and trackers collect tiny details, screen size, fonts you have installed, browser settings to build a unique digital fingerprint of you, even without cookies. Apple is now trying to obscure or generalize that data across all your browsing, making it much harder for trackers to follow you around the web.
Does it break anything?
Apple warns it might cause minor issues on some websites that rely heavily on that kind of data, but for most people, the privacy gain is probably worth potential minor glitches here and there.
Good to know. Okay, let's shift to big tech accountability. The FTC lawsuit against Amazon just went to trial. This is a big one.
Huge. The core allegation is that Amazon used dark patterns, tricky user interface designs, to trick millions of people into signing up for Prime.
And also made it deliberately hard to cancel.
Exactly. They claim the cancellation process was intentionally confusing and convoluted to keep people subscribed longer than they wanted.
And the timing is just peak Amazon, right?
Couldn't be worse for them. The trial is happening right during their big Prime Big Deal Days shopping event. Talk about awkward PR.
Plus, didn't the judge already rule against them on something related?
Yes, the judge already found Amazon violated federal law on online disclosures, specifically about collecting payment info before clearly explaining the key terms of Prime membership. So Amazon's already on the back foot legally.
Okay, staying with big platforms. What's the latest on TikTok in the U.S.? That whole security situation.
It looks like a deal is moving forward, though it's complex. Oracle is set to basically oversee the security of U.S. user data. They'll also monitor any changes made to the recommendation algorithm technology being used for U.S. users.
So the idea is to wall off U.S. data from China. How will it work for users? New app.
The plan seems to be that the algorithm itself will still be licensed from ByteDance in China, but it will be retrained using only U.S. data under Oracle's watch. And crucially, users might not need a whole new app. It could potentially just be handled via an update to the existing one. Seamless for the user, but theoretically secure back-end changes.
Theoretically being the key word there, maybe.
Always with these things, the goal is assurance that Beijing can't access U.S. data.
Okay, last topic. AI pricing. This seems confusing. OpenAI is making basic access much more affordable globally, lowering the barrier.
Right. But then, if we connect this to the bigger picture, they're also launching a super high-end tier, ChatGPT Pro.
How high-end?
A whopping $200 a month.
$200. For what?
For what they call compute-intensive offerings. So presumably for users needing way more processing power, maybe developers, researchers, heavy business users.
So cheap access for the masses, very expensive access for power users.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Segmenting the market hard. And they're even hinting at additional fees for some new products later, potentially on top of subscriptions.
Wow, so the price to play at the cutting edge of AI is definitely a climbing, even if basic access gets cheaper.
That seems to be the strategy.
So what does this all mean? It feels like such a week of contradictions, you know? We get these incredibly slick, thin phones, great privacy features like the juice jacking protection, real tangible progress. But then the underlying tech, AI, is causing chaos in businesses with this work slop costing millions and sparking urgent global calls for safety rules because it's seen as fundamentally unsafe right now.
It's like we're building fancy new cars, but the roads are still full of potholes, or maybe the engines aren't quite reliable yet.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We see these battles playing out everywhere. Ethical AI at the UN, consumer trust in the Amazon trial, privacy in your browser settings. So here's something to think about. That MIT study said 95% of businesses aren't getting value from AI tools, and workers are spending almost 2 hours a day fixing AI mistakes. How much time are we, individually, maybe spending on cleaning up AI work slop in our own lives, personally or professionally? The stuff we thought was saving us time. Is it actually? How much are you really saving? Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoy this episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.